Hello, friends. I'm happy to welcome you all to this episode of this Thought Leadership Show from Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, where we invite business and technology leaders to share their leadership perspectives in various areas. So, our guest speaker today is Mr. Kishore Jayaraman, who is the president of Rolls-Royce India and South Asia. Hello, Kishore. Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Shekhar, for having me here. Pleasure to be here.
Same here. I'm happy to just mention it here that very recently Kishore received the award of an honorary officer of the Order of the British Empire by Her Majesty the Queen. This award is for the services to international trade and investment with a key focus on the promotion of India-UK trade. So congratulations, Kishore, for this recognition.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will turn to the first question. As you know, the past few years, or maybe the last decade, you can say, we have seen lots of global events like inter-country disputes, then disruptions in the global trade and supply chain, then material shortages, then the pandemic, and now the war. So in this scenario, what do you think are the business leadership priorities while adapting to new realities in this highly competitive, but at the same time, it's a volatile business and economic conditions?
Well, interestingly, when I look back in the past and I look at a few of the speeches that I've had like these or programs that I was able to participate in, I found that we all talked about a V-shaped recovery, U-shaped recovery, K-shaped recovery, and the rest of the alphabet. And in there, I always believe there will be a V-shaped recovery. And I think what we are experiencing today are the direct effects or the side effects of a V-shaped recovery, right? When you talk about the supply chain issues we are having, when you talk about the demand side equation, issues challenges we are having, all these point to the fact that it's a V-shaped recovery. But during this recovery, what has not happened is everywhere in the world, the recovery has not been at the same time. The world kind of shut down at the same time, but right now the world is recovering in a sort of a phased manner. Sure. And that phased manner is having all the effects that we are seeing. That's my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. And during these times, what happens is what we are also looking at right now is the fact that number one is supply chain, number two is talent, right? And number three is how do we make sure we're able to project what the company is going to look like over the next few years. And when you take these three factors, to address the supply, we got to manage the customers, we got to manage our facilities to be optimal, we got to do a lot of these things. But when you look at the people, if you put too much pressure on people, they leave. And if you don't put enough pressure, they become slack. So to put the right amount of pressure on people to deliver the right amount of stuff to the entire ecosystem is definitely a challenge today. And in this challenge, understanding the supply chain, the people, and the projections that's required, I think it is very important for leaders to be able to balance it, not just in a very aggressive manner, but in a very strategic manner, right? It is not always that everything will hit you at the same time. It is to be making sure that whatever is hitting today, we find an answer to it. Whatever is going to come at us, we're able to look around the corners. And then we are able to say, okay, what are the different scenarios that the world is going to be looking like over the next 3 to 5 years? The demand is not going to go away. I think the demand is here and it'll keep a steady pace. Supply has to grow. Talent has to be absorbed, trained, and appropriately allocated. And these are the things that a new leader will have to think more from the immediate. But the immediate is going to affect the future. They have to be ready for it.
True. You have led several exciting developments in Rolls-Royce to establish a very comprehensive ecosystem for the aerospace and defense in India, and at the same time building the capabilities through empowered teams, thereby enabling the Rolls-Royce to grow sustainably. So can you tell us more about it? Which leadership strategies and best practices do you think played the important role in it?
Um, I think it's a really big question, and I'm trying to distill in my head the few things that mattered. I think number one in this equation is people, right? I think getting the right talent, and I really mean that the right talent. It is not necessarily you need to get the best talent always, but you need to get the right talent that will be able to grow in their jobs and will be able to understand the nuances of the business, be able to work with people across cultures, and then stay focused on their goal. I think that was number one for us. I think number two behind it is to allow those goals to be clear and have a real big vision. What are we going to do? Distill it down to how we are going to do it, and then figure out when we are going to do it and where we are going to do it. And I think if you're able to do these things, it becomes very easy for the good people to have a firm goal, be able to drive their teams, work with people and drive people, and constantly seek to achieve those goals. And for me, as the leader of the business, what was important was that people should know that the goal that is in front of them is also in front of me. It's a shared vision that we all have. And I am able to make sure that the noises that might arise from various factors are all eliminated so that they are able to move forward and do what they have to do.
True.
That has worked very well for me. Right? To be honest with you, most of the things that we do today, the teams have been able to drive.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
just have to do a little bit of course correction here and there, support them with what they need in areas where they are unable to do it, and then sort of not get in their way. A lot of
True.
times it's also about me not getting in their way.
True. Right. But that leads to my next question that you mentioned about the team, the finding the right talent. It may not be the best talent, but the organizations currently are facing to attract the right talent and more than that to retain the talent. So what are your recommendations on that?
I'll take the retain the talent question first, and then talk about the right talent acquisition. I think in terms of retaining the talent, people want to work and people really want to do a good job. They want to be challenged. They want to know that the money that they are making is due to something special they have to offer. So I think we have to make every individual feel special, right?
Right.
And we should know how to leverage their talents and how to help them with their development needs. I think those are traits that leaders should embrace and figure out how to get it done.
Mhm.
Once you know that, if people know they're working for an organization with clear goals, with good leadership that they can trust, and they know that the work that they're doing is challenging and meaningful, then I believe retention would not be the issue, right? There are
Right.
always people who are looking for more money, who are looking for better challenges, who think they're better than what it is. No problem. I think there is an ecosystem or a world that exists for everybody. But if we have done everything possible as a company to provide them with that, and we are comfortable that we have done that, I think that's the first step towards being
Mhm.
confident about the retention issue.
Right.
The second piece of things of attracting talent is when people leave the organization, they should be able to go out and say that they won't say great, because if it was a great organization, they will want to have stayed back. They say
True.
it's a good organization. And if I'm able to get the good organization, I'm very happy, right? Because that allows me also to think about how to become great for
Mhm.
people that need it. And if I am constantly thinking about how to be great, people who are trying to join the organization will see me as a leader who will be able to take them to their next level in their career. And that is what will attract them to join the company. the attraction to companies for people to work, number one, and it's probably very close, number one and two is the company itself, but more importantly, the people they're going to work for and work with. And these days, people go out and do a lot of research before they join.
True.
And so it is important for companies, leaders to understand that who they are matters. And as long as they are able to be authentic about it, understand themselves, course correct themselves, do the right things in the organization, attracting talent will not be an issue.
Perfect. Very well said. Okay, you have huge experience in working with global organizations like SMG and Rolls-Royce in various roles across sectors and geographies. So, would you like to highlight some of the important learnings from your experience?
I think there are three learnings. I had many learnings, and I'm trying to keep it to just three here for our conversation. Number one is passion. I think when we do our job with passion, everybody sees it. And when you are doing something and you mean well to do it right, I think it shows. When that shows and the results follow, there's no need to go seeking promotions or careers or anything. They happen. So the number one thing is be passionate, be the best at what you do. That's been something that I have followed for the last 35 years now. Number two is shouldn't be afraid to take the hard stuff. Nothing I have done so far when I joined indicated to me there is light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe there was light at the end of the tunnel, but I didn't know if it's a freight train coming at me. Right? So these are hard tasks, challenges that if you get through it, it's really beautiful on the other side. If you don't get through it, the learnings are plenty and wonderful, right? So in either case, the individual wins. That's what my career has been. I can talk in a lot of detail about the different assignments and roles I've played so far, including my very recent one with Rolls-Royce. And they all come with different challenges, and no challenge is the same as the other. So there's constant learning. And I think that learning piece of things is extremely important. And in fact, this morning I was reading just an advertisement popped up. I was just, for the first time I downloaded Spotify. I never had Spotify till today. I downloaded it, and first thing that pops up is an ad. And the ad is about reading books. The guy showed all these different books. And then he says, do you know that most of the top world leaders today read a lot of books? Apparently, according to that advertisement, and I didn't see it through because I like the skip ad section. So after I listened to this last part here, which said Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, they read on an average of 50 books a year, right? And so I was like, all they're reading books for is learning. So that goes back to that learning piece of things, right? Number three is, I think it is very important to develop trust, not only with people you just have reporting to you or people you're working with, but there's a whole world, there's a whole stakeholder management that has to happen with every individual from day one of the job. When they come out of school, it's easy to say, it's not like this at school. It doesn't matter, you're not in school anymore, right? You're in the work environment. In the work environment, if everybody around you is unable to see you and trust you, nothing happens. All the passion, the ambition becomes aggression. All the learning becomes a negative spiral of bad learnings. So at the end of the day, how do you generate trust? Trust happens when you're able to be transparent, when you're able to be clear, and when you're able to be consistent. And I think that is, that is something people miss. They are all looking at this win today, win tomorrow. Win is an outcome. Trust is the recipe that leads to that outcome. And if you're not able to understand that, I think it becomes very hard. I always keep reflecting and asking myself, what is it that I've done right so far? It's more important to understand what is it I've done right so far. Because every day we all, and I do too, ask the question, how did I do this wrong? Right? And so spending that time, I think, is very useful. Yeah, I'll stay with those three topics and say it has helped me a lot.
Okay, right. Passion and trust. That's the most very apt qualities you can say in the leader today. And I think whatever you got from your learnings, it's quite perfect applicable in today's environment too. That's true. Okay. As you see, there is an aggressive adoption of advanced technologies. It's very necessary for staying relevant and competitive for every businessman today. But at the same time, what happens is like organizations seem to be struggling when it comes to concrete and clear strategies for this advanced technology adoption. So, what are your views and recommendations going forward in this area?
Look, I think I'll leave the advanced technology piece out a little bit for a second. The organizations are always changing. The market changes, the products changes, the way we deliver services changes. So there's always changes happening around it. In all these changes, the question is, how does a company or an organization change with the external changes happening? And they are like immediate changes. There are long-term changes. Example is the COVID situation. Immediate changes happen. Now there are the long-term effects of it coming into play. And there's got to be organizations that have to be able to change both ways, right? And change, when it happens these days, it is very important. These changes are understood very quickly and they are acted upon very quickly. So there's a combination of being adaptable, in my view, which is the ability to change, and the agility with which we change, which is a pace at which we can change. I think those things have become very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And now you combine technology into this. So this is a foundation and you have this. Technology should be used in order to help enable the organization through this change and enable the organization at the end of this change. Okay. What I mean by that is, while you're changing, why is it you adopt a technology? Number one, and with that technology, what is the outcome you expect? And with that outcome, how does your business get better? Right? People always talk about change and say that I need to change. Okay, the world is changing around me. I got to change. The question is, do you really need to change? And if you know you need to change, then you got the answer to 90% of the problem. Right? And then technology adoption, there's plenty of technologies available. Now, this is for the immediate needs. Now you look at the future and you say, tomorrow, what do I want my organization to look like? And you say, in that, what do I expect the market to be? What do I expect my people to be? And what do I expect my technologies, supporting technologies to be? And when you look at that, and when I look at Rolls-Royce, we said, tomorrow is going to be about digital, and tomorrow is going to be about electric. And to a large degree, our predictions, which were 3-4 years back, 5 years back, and we are not the only ones who predicted that. There are still quite a few organizations who thought about it also along with us. And I think today with the sustainability initiatives, digital and electrical are going to be more important than anything else. Right? And I think that is the way I believe that the goal posts will be different. They should not change from the vision of the company, but the goalpost will look different, will be positioned different, but that has to be clear what we're going to do. Once we're clear what we're going to do, just get it done.
True.
So we've done a lot of effort on digital and electrical. I won't go into the details right now, but I do believe that should highlight the point of a vision that's got to come in for the long term and a mission that's got to come in for today.
Yes, perfect. Okay. What, according to you, are the three qualities like every business leader should have today, and what would be your advice to the new age leaders?
Have clear outcomes. Number one,
Mhm.
in a world where you're going to have hybrid working, if you don't know what the outcomes have to be, it is very hard to measure performance and very hard to achieve goals. So I think have clear outcomes. Number two, have clear communications. I think in a world where we are more digital than physical, communications is going to play a very important role in keeping people together, whether it is between colleagues or whether it's between boss and employee or between the entire ecosystem around us. So have communications going in any which form possible. And number three is build trust. No more has it been wherein, we used to have the ability to talk near water coolers, go for a coffee with friends, go lunchtime, go for a walk outside. All those are changed now with the working models that are evolving. I think building trust has become a lot harder. Face-to-face meetings, having dinners together, or sharing more personal lives with professional colleagues, all those are changed now because the time allocation, the way we work is all very different. So building trust itself is going to be very different. And the evolution has to happen in that regard from all leaders. And if they're not able to do that, it will go back to that outcomes not being achieved. And it'll go back to having a problem with achieving the goals that we set for ourselves.
Right, right.
I think those three will help a lot.
Okay. You mentioned about the adaptability and then agility, also the change management. How to imbibe these qualities in these new age leaders? Because I often read across or interact with these new age leaders. They often seem to be struggling in adopting these qualities. So, what would be your advice to them?
Well, there's no silver bullet, right? The only thing to do is for myself, I ask myself the question, am I figuring out the answers quickly? If I'm not able to figure out the answers quickly, why is it? And first, where I'm going with this is the individual has to ask themselves first. Only then they can ask others, right? So at the at the end of the day, it is not very complicated. At all levels, it all becomes very simple. And it goes back to the human fundamentals, right? And and without the human fundamentals, it is not going to, we can talk about a lot of leadership buzzwords and a lot of things. It's going to, bottom line is going to come down to saying, are you a person who will achieve things, or are you a person who will find excuses? Are you a person who will find solutions, or are you a person who will find excuses, right? Are you a person who believes in the company and loyal to the company? Are you a person who thinks I come into work so that I can make the money, right? So it goes back to the individual values. But to bring out the individual values, the leadership should understand their own individual values. The shadow of the leader is absolutely true. I heard about this about 8 years back, and you know, it is absolutely true. The teams will behave how their leaders behave, right? And so I would say I try to make myself as honest as possible in those areas. I still go through learnings.
True. Okay, that's it from my side. Thanks for your insights on various leadership aspects in today's very volatile world, including your learnings that really helped, that will help to understand more in terms of how the roadmap should be in future to tackle the challenges which are arising out of nowhere. Because as the global events are increasing, one event after another, and that's really disrupting everything. So the leader has to be always ready with the strategies
Yes.
to comply with the new operations. So thanks a lot. It was again pleasure interacting with you and having you in our show, and we look forward to connecting with you again. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Shekhar. Thank you for this opportunity.